And here now, this presentation is to understand how we at SwissBorg position ourselves, and of course reveal the different secrets about how is the next big chapter of Borg going to fuel the world, fuel yourself, and lead you to where we all need to go, which is financial freedom.
Exactly. Should we get started with some slides?
Ah, yes, that's the best thing to do. Couldn't be more excited than that. And obviously, our vision here is helping users achieve financial freedom, right? That's the number one thing that we always strive to do, which is extremely important, right? And if we then could go to the next slide, is that we always make sure that how do we make this happen, right? You could look at it in multiple different ways, but one of the most important way actually to make this happen is by actually building a community-centric, innovative wealth management products, right? And then the second, which is very important with this, is as well to empower users to grow and protect their assets, right? This is something that's very important. And now if you look at the four different ways of the strategic pillar, what's the most important thing first, as always?
It has to be the community.
It has to be the community. Then the second one, what we always look at is for sure building trusts. And right after trust, what we have to have is obviously is innovation, because innovation is one of the great things that enables all of us to get to the next step, to make something much, much better and brighter, of course. And last and not least, which is very, very, very here important as well, is to make things that are very easy to use, right? The making things that are easy, that are convenient, that anyone is able to just click in within one button and just make it happen. The higher, bigger, goal is eventually to have 1 million burgers to be financially free. That's a huge, obviously goal to make it happen. But this is what I've been working very hard myself, Benji, of course, Anthony, Alex, and all we together think this is possible.
Some of you may know that we are going to be shipping the loyalty ranks. Loyalty ranks, what is it? Essentially, it's a fusion, a merge between the camps that you know that you have in your app today and the premiums that you also have in your app today. We decided that the best way to have the most staked Borg possible is to have one unique, one size fits all staking pool, staking system that really gets you a bang for your buck. So we came up with the loyalty ranks, and we're really excited to show you more screens about how it's going to look and exactly what it's going to be. Today we have 10,000 Borgers that are locking their tokens. They're getting alpha opportunities, they're getting governance reward between 3 and 5% APY the last year. They're getting better APYs on Earn, discontinued fees on other products, and also there is one more big surprise that we're talking about later. But all of this will be much clearer in the app. You'll be able to compare one tier from the other. You'll be able to see if you're platinum, if you're gold, if you're silver, which are, by the way, ranks that people understand much better than the current Explorer community that we have. And you'll also be able to increase directly by clicking on just 2 taps. It will pre-fill, it will be beautiful. And yeah, this is going to be coming soon. We're announcing the date right at the end of the presentation. You'll have to give a like and a subscribe if you want me to get faster through these slides. So moving on, we'll be migrating the Borg from the premium tiers. If you're currently Generation, Genesis, Explorer, or Community, we'll be migrating those Borg from the old staking pool to the new one, and you'll have nothing to do. Everything will be taken care of. You'll be in the rank system, and these tokens are also eligible for governance, which means that before you couldn't get the 3 to 5% APY I was talking about, but in a few weeks from now, you'll be able to, once again, smash like for the right dates that will be released very shortly. So we're bringing it down to 2 weeks. Just so that I realized that we've brought it down from 52 weeks to 2 weeks, which means that by the time you've unlocked your tokens, you can actually do it twice and you'll get your next paycheck. This is so close that it is not a constraint anymore. The constraint is completely removed.
So how many tokens do you need to get to these different ranks?
Well, this is exactly the tricky part. So since we made it so much more easy to go up and down in the ranks depending on what's convenient for you, you unfortunately need to log a little bit more in order to start your journey into financial freedom. So bronze is going to be at 1,000 Borg, silver 3,000 Borg, gold 10,000, platinum 30,000, diamond 60,000, and elite 100,000. These tiers are there because obviously, since it's only 2 weeks cooldown, it's actually very easy to get into it. And also, we believe that we're going to be showing enough inside the app how amazing it is, considering the perks, considering the website, the planning, all of these things that we've been given. It's not just making the app more beautiful, it's making BORG more appealing as well. So now you're looking at all of these perks and you're like, okay, Benji, 100,000 tokens, this is a lot. What do I get for it? Well, the elite rank actually will come with extra benefits. There is going to be a ranking that is dynamic inside it that's going to allow you to know if you are one of the biggest elites, so for example in the top 10, or one of the beginner elite in the top 1,000, and then you're competing within the other elites.
So what you're saying, in other words, is that back in the day, like the highest rank was essentially, let's say, Genesis and then Generation, so 50 to 20,000. Now there's infinite amount of ranks. So there's no like, I have enough.
Exactly. There is no more cap on how many perks you can get inside the SwissBorg app. Before with 50,000, you had everything that you could dream of. And now there are even better perks that we're implementing, new things, ecosystem rewards, which is a big one we'll talk about in a second. You have dedicated RMs, direct contact with upper management, including us, exclusive opportunities, the best perks in the business, and of course the events such as the one we're going to do right after this show in Lausanne. So there's no more limit. You don't need 20,000, you can have more. You don't need 50,000, you can have more. And what you're getting, one of the big things is the ecosystem rewards. There will be airdrops that will be done to the elite users worth more than $10 million worth. This is insane. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and it can only grow if we have better projects that essentially are able to go into the SwissBorg ecosystem.
Exactly. The biggest question is, but where does this money come from? Well, it comes from the ecosystem projects, SwissBorg, Galactica, Agora, BORG, and there are more to come. We won't talk about those too much here, but basically it's an ever growing pot, and you definitely want to have a share of that if you're interested in, of course, making money. Which is, I hope, something that most people want if they're trying to achieve financial freedom. Now, moving on. There is some help that will be done because we value loyalty. Obviously, loyalty squad, we need to put into highlight how people who have joined us a long time ago and been loyal to the app and participated in a lot of our events, in the games, in the Series A, are getting perks. So we're bringing in a multiplier, which means that one locked BORG will be worth more than 1 point for some people. These people are the ICO participants, so the people who helped found the app and get the funds to really get it going all together, but also the Genesis Premium, who are the people who have locked 50,000 tokens for a whole year with us, who have been loyal and still there in the app. They'll be getting 1.3x multiplier as well. But a new cohort that hasn't had that many perks so far are the Series A participants, and they're getting a multiplier as well, 1.2, which means that each of your locked BORG is worth 20% more, which is very good. And the last cohort is the Community App Hall of Fames. This was a long time ago in the Community App. People could bet if Bitcoin was going to go up or down. They're also getting a boost just because we can. And if you have multiple of these boosts, you're telling me, well, what do I get? Does it add up? Does it not? It does actually kind of add up. If you have Series A and Genesis Premium, you'll be getting an OG boost worth 1.4, which means your one BORG locked is worth 40% more than someone who doesn't have this. And if you have ICO and Genesis and Series A participation, it's the ultimate grail, and you are considered a SwissBorg founder, you get a 1.5 boost, which means 50% more. And they should appear on the slides right about now. Here we go.
Perfect. And another click and we're done.
What we would do here is create a mechanism and a system that is based on cashbacks. But what if I told you guys that we have something that is even more effective than cashbacks? And here, let's give you some context. But number one, it's very important to understand that the most advanced and effective system that we're going to do is what we call paid to trade. Now, Anthony, that sounds like a huge buzzword, but how crazy does that sound to you as someone who's been in finance for more than 2 decades now? Have you ever seen a platform in the world that could pay you to trade?
Alex, I don't believe you. You have to explain me more because it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem to make sense. Can you tell me more?
Of course. What if it gets even better? We're going to cue a video for you to understand how this pay-to-trade system will actually be systematic for the BORG token. Let's have a look.
The most powerful utility is when every trade buys back BORG.
How do you guys feel about that?
Amazing.
Regardless if people care or not about the BORG token, every single trade, whether they're buying Bitcoin, whether they're playing with meme coins, will pump the heart of the ecosystem. And Cyrus, I must say, do you think that now it is very obvious and clear to say that BORG is the heart of the SwissBorg ecosystem?
It's always been the heart, I would say, in terms of ethos and in terms of thinking and belief. And, this thing is just on my heart. So 100% agree on that. But now, again, it's in the DNA of every trade. You cannot trade within the SwissBorg app without essentially buying some BORG. You can't sell anything within the SwissBorg app without actually buying some BORG. So this is now where it gets really, really exciting. And there's much more news to that, which is really cool, because obviously we need growth as well, and we still believe that growth is a great way to push. So Benji, what we figure out for growth?
We decided to bring down back the fees to 0.99% for standard users. This means that the base fee is now less than 1%, making us much more appealing in the search engines that I was talking before, and really aligning with the big growth that we're aiming with this massive new feature. Now, you're going to ask me, okay, Benji, great, now it's 0.99, but I'm already in a rank. I already have a premium. I'm going to be transferred into the ranking system. How much am I going to get? What is going to be my fee? Well, I'm going to give you the cashback rates right now. So yeah, as you just seen, 90% discount for the elite. I've done the math here for you. It was very difficult, but basically 0.1, 0.2, 0.35, 0.5, 0.7, and 0.85. Just if you pause and you remember the thresholds that I talked about before with 10,000 BORG, which is twice less than generation, and you get 0.5% fee, which is exactly the same thing, considering you have 50% cashback. This means that if you pay $1 fee, you'll get 50 cents in BORG, and you'll pay the same thing as you had last time with twice less locked and a lot less of a cooldown to wait for. Standard even gets a cashback.
What that means is that anyone within the SwissBorg app today, standard or not, will actually own some BORG tokens.
You could get 3 times more cashback if you just lock 1,000 tokens. And tell me that doesn't sound extremely sexy. Has to. Of course we'll have more growth, and this is exactly what we're aiming for. But for the user, for people, for the community, what does that mean in terms of reaching your goals?
Yeah, I mean, what is very important again is that, of course, it's a gamified version of how you would climb the ranks, but more importantly, it's something that really enables you to get to that financial freedom and climbs those ladders. And this is something that people really should understand, and how this token now is that financial freedom token, right? How this token enables you to have the best experience within the SwissBorg app, and how you're able to elevate yourself and get to where you deserve to be. If we get now to the next slide, we would like to explain how it works, Benji. So let's give the example where I'm a gold member, right? How much is a gold member, if you could remind us?
10,000 BORG.
10,000 BORG right now, right? So this is what is almost an equivalent of upper bracket of Pioneer.
Yeah.
Right? So in this case, I receive 50% cash back. So what does that mean? If I do a trade, for example, of let's say $1,000, so 0.1 BTC. If we click on the next next slide, I do that swap that happens, and then we go to the next one. What happens, Benji?
So SwissBorg has a 9.9 USDC fee, which is what you'll see in the transaction, and that will be deducted from the exchange from Bitcoin to USDC. We always take the destination currency. And then what do we do with that currency?
Well, that's the beautiful thing. Within the next week, you're actually going to get back 50% of that in BORG tokens. And how do we do that? Is that every week we will have enough budgets that will be calculated based on all the trading fees that will get into a pool to buy back the BORG on the market directly. So in this case, as you said, it's $1,000 trade. 1% goes to a little bit less than 1% goes to essentially SwissBorg, which is $9.9. If you essentially have gold, that means you have 50% in cashback. So you have roughly $5 that goes back to you in BORG. Well, when we buy it the following week on the market.
And if we just think of it for a second, here we took an example with the gold rank, which is actually very attainable. But if you look at someone who's elite, which is the top rank, they're only paying 1.1 USDC fee to swap 1,000 and from Bitcoin. Only 1.1. This is crazy. It's the most competitive you can ever get. And that also means, we'll look at it later, but paid to trade means that this 1.1, it means that you get 8.8 USDC back in BORG. If that BORG goes up just 10%, the 1.1 is already completely consumed and you've paid zero. And then if it goes up 15%, you stop being paid to trade. And we've seen the last month, what is BORG up? Like
45% more?
45%. So in less than a month, it's almost as if a gold member would have paid zero fees from a month ago just by keeping the BORG in that.
That's what pay to trade is.
That's what pay to trade is. I mean, you're being paid to trade, literally. So in this slide, I wanted to go over just the main fundamental of why it's going to be so strong. We've looked at what's going to happen in the app, how you can benefit the most out of it, what's the feature going to look like, what it's going to bring, what we're aiming to do. But now we're going to look into the price action of BORG. We're going to do some predictions and we're going to reveal some numbers just so you can realize how strong this actually is.
Listen up, guys.
This now it becomes a little bit technical. It's like a math professor you don't really want to listen to, but this one's cool because he's going to make you some money. So imagine you're a shop owner in the middle of the desert and there's only one pool there. You control all of the clean water and you have one bottle of water, but you only have one. There's 3 people that want to buy it. You're going to sell it to the person who gives you the most money for it. If you have 3 bottles of water and you only have 3 people who want to buy it, you're going to be a victim of whatever price they want to decide. What we're trying to say is the less water there is in the market, the higher the price you can set it at. And this is the same with demand and supply. Why is gold extremely valuable? Because there's less and less of it. Petrol, all of these things, commodities, are always driven by the law of demand and supply. And what we're doing with all of these buybacks, with the staking, is removing from that pool with the buckets that are right there at the bottom of the slide. So you have the market with people buying, people selling, and then you have us swooping in with a beautiful system and taking all of the water out so that you, when you're buying or when you're selling, have a bigger impact. If we look at the numbers, the buying pressure of BORG in the whole of last year was 75.6 million worth in USD. And the selling pressure was 81.2 million. This means that there's more people that were bringing water in the pool than people bringing it out. And you're going to tell me, well, Benji, what you just said before does not make sense. How could the price have gone up 30% in that time period? Well, this is because we have 10,000 people who have locked tokens in the governance model and taken water out of the pool, which made the buying stronger than the selling. And this is just the BORG blocking that we had with governance. It's not at all as strong as the buyback that we just talked about, as the cashback that we just talked about, and as the ranks, who are going to be once again much more beautiful and intuitive. How do you feel about that side?
I feel very excited. I feel that with numbers, it makes a lot more sense. And here we can see that with the pay to trade, there's more than that, Benji.
Yeah.
There's definitely more than that, and walk us how we are gonna able to build up more staking within the SwissBorg app.
So we already have 100 million that are staked through the governance. We also have 200 something staked through premiums.
230, yeah.
230 staked with premiums. And This is some of the supply that we're taking out of the pool, outside the market. And now we're going to be ourselves also bringing some buys and some sellers, because we're doing everything on the market. The buyback is going on the market. The cashback is given to the market as well. We're bringing in 20.8 million of buying pressure, which is 26% more buying pressure. And we're removing 12% selling pressure. So if someone wants to sell, we're buying back what they're trying to sell. It never hits the market. It just goes straight to people who are trading on the app. And we're buying it directly from this selling pressure. So it's really making this abnormality in the law of supply and demand where we're shifting it ourselves. We're taking a beautiful concept and we're shifting all of these rules. Our target is to lock 50% of the total supply to really empty out that pool that I was talking about, making the BORG token, which is the water inside, so much more valuable than it ever was.
And scarce.
And scarce.
Of course.
If you just compare with Jupiter very quickly, they have a market cap of 1.56 billion and we have 250 million when I did the slide. We will have a buyback which is roughly 50 million worth next year, considering the governance, which is a buyback that's continuing to be active, and the cashback systems.
But I think the big difference with these guys, as Alex was saying earlier, is that they do buybacks, but it doesn't match essentially their inflation, which is the release of new tokens. So this is where it becomes a game changer. Our tokens have been released pretty much.
Yeah.
There's not new agenda for this. So this is where it gets very, very exciting again, is that we essentially have a huge amount of buybacks, but not necessary distribution of new tokens that have to be unlocked for whatever reason.
Exactly. Yeah. So with the pool example that we had before, we don't have any red guys that are trying to sell the token back into the pool. We are only green. This is exactly the color of the logo. Everything's in the name, but we're only green and we're only bringing in buying power. Jupiter, unfortunately, at the moment, is bringing in a massive red guy who's pouring water into the pool and making it bigger. It's already massive because it's a 1.56 billion market cap pool, but it's also going to get bigger in the future. So that's why this is just to really illustrate how strong this buyback is. It's the same firing power, but on a much, much different scale.
So now is something that's important is for us to understand as a community. What we're saying here is that pay to trade is the new model for the BORG, for SwissBorg, and for everyone to understand this very well is we need to get more into trading. The more we trade, the more we have cash back, the more there's buyback, and eventually the pay to trade model just grows like that. It's very important for many of us to learn as well how to trade. Because we know that in the previous cycle, there's probably a lot of tokens that you've had that either are not able to sell or exit, and today these tokens have never pumped and probably will never pump, right? And I think the world of crypto, but in general, the world of even equities today, it's more and more active than ever. And that is what it is, right? So I think it's very important for us as a community to understand this. And this is why with SwissBorg right now, we're doing more and more trading competitions for you guys to get used to this. It's something that's important, to be able to buy something, but to be able to exit this thing and have ability maybe to buy it back, you still believe in it, or just completely exit it, right? And this is really fundamental for all of us, is to learn how to trade. Because if you just buy and hold, that could be okay for maybe a portion of your core portfolio, but most of your satellites could eventually go to zero. And this is something that's very, 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 very important for us to realize. We're building all the best tools as well for trading. Yeah, open up your ears and eyes. There are going to be more things coming up in a couple of months.
Just one thing. Do you know what the best part is of the trading that you'll do on SwissBorg?
Tell me.
You'll be paid for it.
Oh, that's true. Paid for trade.
Paid to trade.
Let's now look at numbers and projections. How does this work? How does this make the tsunami of pump forever, ever, and ever, ever?
I think this one, we haven't heard Anthony and Alex for some time. I think this one we can throw out to Anthony. What are the 3 pillars that can impact the token price? Boomerang.
It's a very good question, Benji. So what are the 3 pillars that can actually impact the price token? Getting back to you.
Oh yeah, we should have thrown a boomerang.
Right
oh shoot!
Okay.
He came back.
Curveball.
There you go.
You're the
All right.
rookie, man.
I think, Sai, there's something that's really important on what you said earlier, right? Like, because the price projections that we're going to show you guys are not based on growth. It's very important to understand this, because we were very accurate in our CHSB token price projections. We're actually too conservative, those who remember, in 2019. But then, once again, we did another BORG token prediction in early 2022. And the difference between the two is that in the 2022 projections, we included growth. And so here, with regards to the BORG token, we're not including growth. We can actually increase the price of the BORG token just through the pay-to-trade model and just through the buybacks, because we're putting so much of the revenues to buy back the token that is quite illiquid relative to many other tokens, and we're gonna look at that. So what is the moonshot? We know that BORG is going to outperform the market. That is a given, without growth. So if the market continues, plus the buyback, we moon. But if the market actually goes into full euphoria, plus the buyback, plus growth, then what happens there? Then sky is the limit at that specific point for BORG token price action. But how would you sum up the three components here, Anthony? I know that you always like to look at market behavior, specific economics and utilities and fundamentals.
Yeah, it's a very, very good question. But I think the good thing with buybacks and this new formula, it just amplify the bull market, right? And it offers protection in the bear market, because anyway, we're going to continue to buy, right? And because the price will be lower, as a consequence, we buy more of the supply. But I think the most important mechanic to understand is you want to trade in the bull market. There is more volatility, there is more opportunity. So there is a bunch of reasons why you want to trade more. This trading more will translate directly into the price of the token. So there is really an amplifier on the upside, and there is protection on the downside.
Absolutely. And the fact that we're breaking this concept of SwissBorg is too expensive with paid to trade, that is also going to fuel growth as well. I'm sure we'll get some people who left the app who will come back. So the growth will be obvious eventually with a better system that rewards our traders and people using the app, right?
And we're convinced we will be able to reclaim part of the trading volume that our actual user, even if we don't think of new user, but actual user are potentially trading with other platforms these days because they were not happy with fees, right? So there is a bunch of reasons why, but with this new model, we're very hopeful we are going to claim back.
Absolutely, and we're not just hopeful, we have the data. So if we backtest, guys, if we took the paid to trade program and we put it back in January, I think, Benji, this is one of your favorite charts, right? This is what the BORG price would have been as of today. So today we're roughly around 40 cents, as we see.
Sorry, that would have been 2 weeks ago.
That would have been 2 weeks
enough.
ago. Yep, fair enough. But you guys can see here that we would be at 80 cents. So if we implemented paid to trade and this system with BORG buybacks in January 25, as of today, we would be at 80 cents, so double the price. So this backtesting just shows you guys how effective the model truly is. Anything you want to add there, Benji?
Yeah, this is really what I like to do. I often see some projections and people telling me this will get to this price, this will get to this price, even on stocks. And I'm like, well, how can you know? If Trump tweets something, suddenly it can go down. But to really understand the power of something, you have to look at it from the past and be like, well, if it had happened before, considering we know what happened in the past, we know all of the metrics, we know the market, we know the buying pressure, we know the selling pressure, we can calculate how much impact it would have had. And this, I've done this before a month ago. I decided not to change it because, well, what's happening right now is excitement through the keynote. As people could tell that something big was coming in. Well, the market didn't anticipate this. You couldn't really predict it. So I left this slide there. We would have been higher than between 60 and 80 cents. I sincerely believe it. And we know it. We can show it. So to me, it's really like, how powerful does it get? Well, here, if we had done it in January, we would have been between 80 and $1. And if we had done this keynote 3 weeks ago, we would have been between 60 and 80 cents. And I really wanted to show that before we move on to the next slides, which are looking in the future, which we can try to predict, but obviously we don't have a crystal ball, although we know that there's one direction that's certain.
So now we go for the big reveal, right? This is where numbers care. This is where a lot of things could start to dream to get to that huge destination, right? Obviously, these numbers are calculated on multiple complex different, Monte Carlo scenarios, looking like back testing and all that. And as well, trying to figure out as well what is going to be the future volume trading within the SwissBorg app. So you can always define, right? Things could change and eventually, right? I don't want to make things very clear. With numbers, things changes. However, if we look at multiple different models that we have put together, the future is very bright. What do you think, Benji?
It's amazing. This is really, I mean, the top green one. I think it's, I can't see from here how high it is, but it's probably something in the whereabouts of $8 to $10. Obviously, this would be amazing, and this would mean that a lot of stars need to line up. But you also need to think: do you believe there's going to be an altcoin season or not? Do you believe that this keynote that we've just presented, do you really believe that it's going to work? Are you genuinely excited? Do you think cashback is going to be a big thing? If everything aligns, nothing is impossible. But it won't be done just with buyback. Buyback will bring us up to a certain amount. We've seen from 0.30 to 0.60, this is buyback. But then more than that, it has to be the two other pillars. It has to be the market, and it has to be also the selling and buying pressure that align in order to make us really fly up there. But you have to also sit down and think, okay, if there's an altcoin market, we've seen that Jupiter, Binance, Bitcoin can go up 3x. For an altcoin like the size of SwissBorg, with the buying power that SwissBorg has, it's not impossible to go much higher than that.
100%. So really what you have to understand is that until today, all of our business was to say we have fundamental value, lock your tokens, trade with us, and then we refer people and grow and do this hyper growth. Now it's different. We have created a boat that doesn't need to sail. We have a boat with a freaking great motor, which is essentially paid to trade. This could bring us to a great destination. However, if you then bring the wind, which is the alt season, and you're able to bring the hyper growth, which is the second
Pillar.
the second whatever, the second thing, the third motor of the boat, pretty much, through the wind, right? Then you could then go much faster to your destination. And that's the beauty behind this. This is where you really want. And these numbers are really the numbers we strongly believe, like 50% of lock supply, which today was 36%. So we still need to pump that up, of course. But these are all things that I think are manageable, right? These are not numbers that are not manageable. Of course, we have to all work into them. We have to dream about them. We all have to realize eventually them. But these are numbers that we could manage to get them together. Please remind yourself, in 2019, we were less than a half a cent and we went to 160, right? So going from now 40 cents, 43 cents to $10, yeah, that's a long way, right? That's at maybe 23, 24x, but we know everything is possible within SwissBorg network. Now let's get to the next slide, Benji.
Beautifully said. Next slide.
So this is the previous slide. There you go. So Benji, you are the guardian of the guardians, right?
Yes.
What was the monthly average buyback in 24 and 25?
It was around 50K.
Is that good?
I'm very proud of the guardians.
Yeah, I could say it sucks.
Not cool.
I'm joking. So that doesn't really have a nice price impact. Anthony or Alex, you want to give me another number?
All right, I would love to
Would you
triple
agree
that.
if we triple that?
Yeah, can we triple
Yeah,
that?
triple that? Okay.
Can you explain,
if we
Sai, what is
triple
the
that,
high
what-
impact? Can you explain what the price impact, what we see at the bottom, means?
Of course. So right now with 150, right? 150,000, we see there's a price impact. That price impact is roughly 14%, which is starting to be a little bit good, but it's not a great weekly buyback, right? It's just 14%. Can we do something like what we've done this week? Who wants to say another number, like 350? Would that be okay, Benji?
I'm happy with that.
Okay, so 350 right now. Okay, that's a nice one. Now we're like, what would have happened last week? So last week, which was not a great week, it was a good week, nevertheless, for the company in general. This would have had a net price impact of 44%.
Oh, can we just pause? When you say not last week, that's what happened. What do you mean?
So the total collective fees of last week was roughly, was the total trading volume of last week was above 70 million, and an average 0.5% would go to this fantastic pay to trade model. And this means that, well, out of 70 million, there's 250,000 that would be the budget for this week to buy back essentially the SwissBorg token, and then to reward people the following week. So in this type of week, this is gonna have a nice price action, right?
So a normal week at SwissBorg brings us a price action of, what was the number on there? It's gone, but
it was roughly 46%.
46%.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Guys, you have better numbers? Who wants to do crazy numbers now? Let's do for the real. Who wants crazy numbers here?
Okay, let me check with BORG, our little robot here. So BORG,
Okay.
what would be the crazy number you want to do? So give me 2 minutes, guy. I'm discussing with him. He say, I will be ready to sell one of my Bitcoin, because he's a robot, he's only using crypto, when Bitcoin very soon will reach $1 million. So he's ready for 1 million, guys.
Wow.
Oh, 1 million.
Wow.
That's a nice one. That's a nice one. Is that possible? Let's check it out right now. So a weekly buyback of $1 million. How much price impact would that have?
Has to be
It has to be
at least 7%. No, it would be massive, but it's gone.
So based on the calculations, this would approximately, well, this is even higher ways to
No, this is a bigger one.
yeah, this is a bigger one. So it would be roughly 124%, which is crazy. And if you go now to the highest trading week we have ever had at SwissBorg, which was 430 million, we would have roughly a buyback of 2.2 million for 1 week, and that would have created the best pump of all time, obviously, which I think says over 200%.
So you're saying this is possible?
This is possible.
Wow.
Right? And this is where people have to realize that obviously this is all connected to the health and the wealth of the BORG, of the SwissBorg ecosystem, but this again captures the very essence of it, which is trading, which is the main revenue generator of SwissBorg today, right? This is where 70% of revenue comes from, is from trading. And this is why it's so important to understand this, that trading will essentially bring a lot of value to BORG. This will enable you as well to not be the exit liquidity of other people and be able to understand that you may not have to trade every day because you have a day life or whatsoever, but you have to realize what's your entry, what's your exit. And this is something that's very important, and we have to give you education for this, or maybe you already have it, which is fantastic. You need the tools that we're building as well to make sure that this is as well easy and very convenient way to do it. And obviously the MEX has been doing fantastic. Now the limit trade of like trading Bitcoin is $1 million, which is fantastic. So we have done a lot of things that enable to create better tools for this. And of course, there's many things that you guys are waiting for that we will deliver.
And guys, there's one thing I wanted to mention as well. I hope that now at the end of the presentation, when we've talked about a lot of things, you understand why we were saying that we put BORG back at the heart of the ecosystem. And guys, what does a heart do?
Pump.
Pump. I just came up with that. I'm very proud.
That was a cool one.
Thank you.
Jimmy.
This is Jimmy. Say hi to Jimmy. Jimmy has locked 60,000 BORG tokens, I think. And then he has received $50 of cashback because Jimmy is a beautiful trader. He's traded quite a bit. He's received $50 of cashback. Then BORG went up 50% because of the buyback, which we've seen is entirely possible. And now Jimmy's cashback is worth $100, which means that Jimmy has actually made a profit on his fees, on paying his fees. Jimmy was just paid to trade.
$75, but yeah.
Yeah, it's too far for me to read. I try my best.
Well done, Jimmy.
Well done, well done, Jimmy. Here we go. Jimmy's cashback. Yeah, it's now worth $75, which is exactly what we mean with paid to trade. You can take any premium tier. It will take a little bit more of a pump for you to be paid to trade. But if you're elite, it will be very quick. If you're diamond, it will be quick. If you're generation, if you're platinum, it will be also quick. So it's all about how much BORG you're locking, how much it's at the ecosystem, and how much it's at the heart and then how much it will pop.
And the more you lock, the bigger the reward, which is fantastic.
The more you lock, the bigger the rewards. Oh.
So I think this again shows how you could
This
grow.
week or this month?
This month, yeah.
This month. So if you had cashback last month, you as a trader, and you've traded as an elite user, you would be up 40% on your fees, which is something that's crazy.
That's crazy.
And if you were a diamond, you would be up 30% on your fees, and if you were platinum, you would be up 15% on your fees, which is something I've never heard of. I don't know if anyone has.
No, you're paid to trade.
You're paid to trade. Alex,
Alex, sum it up, nail it all, and show how
Okay,
our
guys,
BORG token
so
is
here-
a better token economist.
Okay, guys, so if you don't fully grasp what's happening today, we're going to look at the BORG token relative to all the tokens that have the buybacks. So up until here, thanks to my brother here from another mother, Anthony, you understood that it's not an altcoin season, it's a fundamental season. And the fundamentals is measured by revenues, and the buybacks is by measuring how much of your revenues are you willing to compromise in order to focus on the token. Now, this is very, very important to understand. And if you didn't understand the previous slides, it's very important to understand that the buybacks that we're going to start as soon as October 1st are going to be on a weekly basis. And last week, just last week, we would have pushed $400,000 plus, so more than $400,000 in buyback every week. So you have $1.6 million of buybacks on the BORG token, and you guys are very lucky, and we're very lucky to have you, so that you know this information, regardless if people are selling and don't understand the fundamental power of these new systems and utilities. But let's look at the different tokens by the most important categories. You can see here at the top that we have FDV. So SwissBorg FDV is 1/10th, 100th, 1,000th of all the other SEX index players that are doing buybacks as of today. The second range is if we continue like last week and we take $400,000 and we multiply it by 52 weeks in a year, then that means we'll have roughly $20 million of buybacks in a year. And $20 million of buybacks in a year with a token that is as illiquid as the BORG is absolutely crazy. Why? Well, obviously we cannot compare with BNB, which has roughly $1 to $2 billion of buybacks a year. But you can see here when you compare it to Jupiter, which has roughly the same range, you have Aave, which has roughly the same range, but these are tokens that Aave, for instance, has a $5 billion market cap. Jupiter has a $3.5 billion market cap. And let's say Radium, that has more liquidity than us, with $7 million of buyback, are also bigger than our market cap. But another thing to look at with regards to these different structures and categories is the percentage of fees. What we've learned at SwissBorg is that in the past, when you have 5%, 10%, 15, 20% of revenues, that is not enough, once again, to really have a strong buyback. And you can see here that we have 50% of trading fees dedicated to the buyback, which is massive. The next part is duration. We've been doing buybacks for 5 years, so we know now what has not worked in the past, and we know what will work moving forward thanks to all the research that we're providing with you today. One important point is also the BORG token has 100% circulating supply, which you can see is one of the most important metrics to avoid sell pressure, like we saw with Jupiter, because even though they're fueling $30, $40 million of buybacks a year, or roughly $3 million a month, the problem is by inflating the supply, as Cyrus was saying earlier, you're actually going to have a net negative of selling pressure. With regards to the token percentage locked, roughly as of today, BORG tokens, alongside with the new ranks, we will have roughly 40% of all the supply locked that will be removed from the sell pressure. And you can see here, relative to other tokens, 40% is the second biggest after Hype token. So we're truly doing something really good. Decentralization-wise, in terms of the number of holders, we have 160,000. And team tokens, we have roughly 12 to 13%. That includes the foundation and all the C-suite. So you can see all here, guys, together, that relative to the other projects, we have two main messages here. Number one is that we are going to have more buy pressure relative to FDV, relative to trading volume, right? And you saw the price impact in the previous slides. But on top of that, we're going to have less sell pressure than others because we have 100% of supply that is actually already emitted. But also on top of that, we have a lot of the percentage of our tokens that are locked.
Almost. So with that, guys,
Further ado, I'm so excited again. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the old crew as well, bringing us to this BORG-verse with this spaceship. This is the biggest time for us to be proud, to be loud. This is the time to react. It's time to fundamentally believe in what the BORG token is and how this BORG ecosystem is just changing on a daily basis. This pay-to-trade model is coming to you next week. The buybacks will happen right after this. This, again, will push us into a new BORG-verse, bringing us to new heights, protecting us to the down devils. And I couldn't be more excited and more grateful than being alive as being the founder of SwissBorg. Anthony, Alex, brothers from another mother, get it, Benji, this is it. This was amazing. This was lovely. We are actually in 1 minute doing the French one from another studio. So much love to all you guys. As always, be healthy, be wealthy, love our BORG and equity. And back to you, Alex and Anthony.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bright. That was a pleasure. You will find all the different video on social media. Benji, you committed to it. You will make it happen tomorrow. You can see everything about this presentation, and we will be back. Alex, last word.
The future is bright, my friends. Don't doubt on the BORG. Now we have the fundamentals ready. BORG to the moon. BORG back.
Let's do it.